Okay, hello everybody, welcome back to Max Reviews and Stranger Things Season 4, Part 1 has come out, so this is going to be my spoiler review for it, as I did my spoiler-free review yesterday. You can check that out if you want non-spoilers, but today we're going to be just going 100% spoilers, so let's get talking about this. Okay, so just getting into the spoilers right here. I love this season in general. I gave my thoughts on it. I didn't really give it a number score yesterday, but just for spoilers and stuff, I love what they did with everything. Almost everything. Like, there's a few things that I'm like, really? But a bunch of it is just done very well. I feel like the budget seems to be going up a bit more, and just everything that they're doing is so terrifying and creepy. So let's just start with episode 1, getting introduced to everybody, and I wasn't really into it. I thought it was fine. Like, we're seeing that 11 doesn't have her powers, and how she says that everything's going great with her and Will and Joyce and Jonathan, but it isn't really going as well. And then you also have Nancy working for like the school paper. You have Jonathan getting cocaine, and then you also have all the other characters doing their thing with Mike and Dustin and everybody else, Steve, Robin, all our other characters other than Hopper, right at the regular place and in Hopkins, and they're figuring out what's going on right in like the second episode. But just for this first episode, we're introduced to Eddie, the Dungeons and Dragons leader, who I just loved his performance, his sort of craziness and interestingness. Well, not interestingness, that's not even a word, but his just style. I really enjoyed it. And then he's selling drugs, and this is where the season, it gets more mature, Stranger Things, because they didn't really have all this happening. Like, our characters are getting older, so they're sort of moving it up with a bit more gore, a bit more drug use, a bit more of the references. But I didn't 100% enjoy that at first. I'm like, really, why is this here? It didn't seem misplaced, but it sort of incorporated it sort of into the plot, where this girl, what was her name? Trisha? No, let me check her name. Okay, Chrissy. And so she goes to Eddie's house to buy drugs, and then she's having these visions of like a clock, and everybody was theorizing, I think it's time travel. I think they're gonna have to go back in time. But no, it's not that. It's just this thing with the clock, where time and the main villain, Vecna, doesn't want time to work. And it's just interesting how they switch and bait. Not exactly, it's all theory. They didn't actually say time travel. They just showed clocks, and it's thing with clocks. And so, speaking of Vecna, he shows up and murders Chrissy, like in this dream state where he puts his hand in her face, and she breaks her limbs, breaks her fingers backwards, crushes her eyes, dislocates her jawbone, and dies. One of the absolutely the most gruesome death in all of Stranger Things. Like, season 1, you had Barb being pulled down into like a pool, and that, I guess it was still, they didn't want to show the Demogorgon, but at least for this one, they're showing Vecna. They just have the mystery of who he is, what he is, and why he's doing this. And I really enjoyed that. Like, even episode 1, they show him. They didn't really do that in season 2 or season 3. It was just a bit of what is going on here. They didn't actually show the villain. And then the monster, the Demogorgon in season 1, they didn't really show that until later. But this one, they outright show Vecna, and he's awesome. The character design looks so cool. His thing with spiders, his thing with clocks, just like his mansion that he has, it just looks so cool and sick. I just love it all. And then moving on from that, episode 2, we get into they're trying to figure out Vecna's curse and finding Eddie and everything, and they have time to flesh stuff out. There's more in here than you usually think, because the episodes, as I already said, are an hour and 10 minutes to an hour and a half each. Hour and 40 minutes. I keep saying hour and a half. But we also have the plot line with Joyce figuring out what's happening to Hopper. And we see Hopper. He's alive in episode 3. And he's doing fine. And we also have, we still have, 11 not having her powers, and so my sister's all like, she has to get her powers back, but I like it that she doesn't have her powers. She feels so powerless as she is, because she's used to being able to kill anybody if she wants, open doors if she wants, torture somebody if she wants, but now she just has to actually do it. So she hits this bully girl to her, that's a bully, hits her in the head with a roller skate, and so I'm trying to figure out what to do without her powers. And so episode 3, we go into what happened to Hopper and how he actually went through the portal, he didn't actually die, and he's been stuck in Russia. And I'm like, oh well, at least he's not dead, but still, they sort of definitely bait and switched us. And so he just wants to get home. He appreciates everything that he has. Then the end of episode 3, 11 goes to find, with these guys to get her powers back. And I'm like, okay. And then I actually liked what they did with 11 in the next 4 episodes, with her going to her past and figure out what actually happened. When we open with like little 11-year-old 11 kills everybody in the lab that they were working with. It's just so terrifying. And so she's trying to figure out what actually happened because she doesn't remember for some reason, which felt like a cheap plot point, but at the end of the day, I just sort of enjoyed it. And we have, like, it turns out Papa is alive, and it's just a big thing right there. Like, Papa's alive. It changes, not a whole bunch, but he's there. He's helping 11, and they have an interesting dynamic to see that. Next, Max in these 2 episodes right here. We know Nekva is coming for her because she sees, like, the clock, and Max is, like, the heart of the entire show right here. And I just love that because Max, Season 2 wasn't the greatest character. She was fine. She was being introduced. She was fine. Season 3, she got really good with this stuff, trying to figure everything out and having her brother die. And now Season 4, she's the main character, basically. And I just love that about her. She does such a great job, the actress, with being terrified. And you know they might actually kill her because I was getting very concerned for her. But she survived, so that's fine. And Nancy and Robin go to see Victor Creel, the guy who they were saying something like this happened to his family and that he murdered his own family. And he just cut his own eyes out, and he tells them about his backstory and how a demon had come into their house and animals started dying. And then one day his wife died, and then one day, like, they floated like Chrissy did, and his wife and daughter got killed, and his son got sent to the hospital and died of a heart attack, and he ripped his own eyes out with a razor. And it's just so terrifying. And then we get to see Max again, and they figure out that listening to music is what happened to Victor. Listening to, like, your favorite music stops. And how Victor had survived from Nekva is he listened to his favorite song, and that stopped him because it was playing on the radio. Big coincidence there, but well. And so Max, they put on her headphones, and she gets out of there. And it's like the most epic thing because she's in the air, and it looks like she's going to die. And then she runs out of there away from Nekva because she gets in, like, his mansion. And she drops down, and she's alive. And she just is more, she was writing letters to everybody in her family. And then at the end of this one, she's just so happy to see everybody. And that amazing episode right there. I love what they did with Max in this season. I love what they did with just Nekva, Max, 11. What they did with her was great. They've been sort of struggling in what to do with her in the previous few seasons, but they did a great job with this season with 11, and she's got to rediscover her past, and she sort of gets her powers back. Sort of, not 100%, because she blasts them out, and then she can't do them again. And then we figure out this guy that tried to help her escape was actually he actually is number 1, because he's talking about how number 1, and she gets some sort of device in him that I think stops him from using his powers. And it was all a trick, which I sort of saw that coming. I'm like, yeah, this guy's probably just going to use her to get out of there. And so he starts going around killing everybody. And then we have the reveal as he tells 11 in, like, the final minutes of the entire season that he was the boy, that Victor's son, and he was the one that was using his powers to kill everything. And so what happened to him is, this is in the past, of course, when he's talking to 11. He tells 11, which tells us, and then she blasts him into the upside down when she's like 11, and he becomes Nekva, where he's building everything. And that's why he the stuff had only happened to Victor, and then it's happening now with Nancy's partner got killed, Max almost got killed, and then Chrissy got killed. And that's what's going on. It's the biggest reveal in all of Stranger Things, and I loved it so much. They executed it to perfection, and I just love Nekva because he could actually talk. He has a backstory, and this entire first part of this 4th season is showing us how that happened and giving us his backstory. And I just love that so much. He's such a good villain now because he could talk. He has a backstory. The Mind Flayer, the original thing that I was talking about in my video yesterday, Dustin was suggesting that Nekva is the general working for the Mind Flayer. So there's the Demogorgons, which work for the Mind Flayer, and the Demodogs that work for the Mind Flayer, and the Mind Flayer is the leader is Nekva's, like, boss. I didn't want that. The Mind Flayer has been used for 2 seasons. He hasn't said a word. Nekva is here for 7 episodes and is already way better than the Mind Flayer. 7 episodes versus 2 seasons. So Nekva's easily favorite monster so far. We'll see how they defeat him. I don't really know because he's all in the Upside Down, but what happens with Hopper is they eventually do get Hopper. They hug, and Hopper has to fight the Demogorgon that was teased in the end of season 3, and it's just so cool to see the Demogorgon after all this time, just to see it again. Like, I know people thought that would be like the main villain of season 4, but no, it's not. It's this Nekva. And so he fights the Mind Flayer, then he hugs Joyce and the, like, detective guy that's been there. And so that was nice. We get that sort of resolved. I felt like it just dragged on for a bit too long because it goes all the way to episode 7 and they just find him. Hopefully everybody could get together by the end. We have the whole big reveal with Nekva, and then we also have them go to Susie's house, and she has to hack something so that they could figure out something where 11 is, I'm pretty sure. And then the final thing, in episode 6, they create a portal where one of the basketball players that were, Lucas was a basketball player's team captain, and then one of the team captain's friends got possessed by Nekva and got killed, murdered. And so the team captain has gotten the entire town rioting, looking for Eddie, who they think is possessed by Satan. So they're going to tear him limb from limb, basically. So things are getting tense, and then everybody gets sent to the Upside Down. Well, Nancy, Robin, Steve, and Eddie all are in the Upside Down. And it's just this, they're in the Upside Down. They're being attacked by, like, bat demons. And it's so cool. Other thing that happened, they have Max listening to music constantly so that she doesn't die. They communicate from the Upside Down, Nancy, Steve, Robin, and Eddie. I didn't even talk about Robin in this season. She has a crush on this other girl, and they're trying to get together, but that didn't really go anywhere. I'm wondering, I don't think Nancy and Jonathan are going to get together because they've been together and they sort of broke up, basically, it seems. Even though they still are together, they haven't seen each other all season. But I think Nancy's either going to get together with Robin or Steve. So I'm interested. I want her to go with Steve because Steve has been let down so many times. And I just want it for Steve. But they might go with Robin and once again let Steve not get the girl. Same with all 3 previous seasons. But if he doesn't get her, if Steve doesn't get a girlfriend in season 5, I will just be so mad because he deserves it after 3.5 seasons of not getting a girlfriend. He deserves to get one. So after this, we have the reveal that the guy is actually one. Nancy sort of gets possessed, but then that's where we end. Just Nancy's possessed, and then she's seeing the backstory with 11, so that I guess she could tell everybody else. And then we also have them doing some really trippy logic where they find a hole because wherever Nekva kills somebody, a portal's created. And so they find the portal, and everybody gets through except for Nancy and Steve because Nancy is possessed by Nekva. And so we'll see if Nancy can get out of there. But they have some really cool stuff going on there. And we have it revealed that Nekva is number 1. And that is the end of the season. So I'm not actually going to give it a score right now because I haven't seen the entire season. I'll do the rankings of the characters and the seasons and everything when the part 2 comes out on July 1st. So, well, actually, I'm not going to be here for July 1st, I don't think. Oh, yikes. We'll see, because I got to get some stuff scheduled for that, because I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. So, yeah, we'll see if I'll be able to do it or if I'll be late. But I chose Stranger Things instead of Obi-Wan Kenobi for a show to watch. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like, subscribe to Max Reviews. Leave your spoiler-filled comments down below of your thoughts on the season or just your general thoughts on the show. Thanks for watching. Braden out.